What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Trevor Steele, and in today's video I want to talk about the 3 ways you could take better care of your glider to make it last longer. The first way that I want to discuss is how you wrap up your glider and the surface you wrap your glider up on. If you'll notice, my brand new, which just isn't even my wing, is laying on a moving blanket. The ground that you wrap your wing up on can totally change the lifespan of your glider, because this fabric right here has got certain concoctions of things on it, and as you drag that fabric through surfaces like gravel or dirt, you wear all of that off. You terribly damage the porosity of the glider and the fabric in general. It is extremely important that if you're not on a surface like grass or turf or something of that manner, that you've got something like a moving blanket to wrap your glider up on. This moving blanket is something I just added to the arsenal. It's also something I added to our adventure package. So now if you order an adventure package through us, which incorporates every single thing you need to get into flying, we include this with our starter kit. I would highly recommend getting something like a moving blanket for you to wrap your glider up. Okay, so now let's talk about the second way you could take better care of the glider. As it sits right now, it is baking in the sun. The UV rays are starting to get strong, and this fabric is literally just sitting out, soaking up the UV rays. Now, you may like baking in the sun, sun tanning. I don't personally love that. Gliders really don't like that. Every minute you spend letting your glider just sit out and bake in the sun is taking away from the overall lifespan of that glider. It is super important that you, as a paramotor pilot, wrap up this glider as soon as you're done. You never leave it baking in the sun. Even when it's in the bag, you don't leave the bag baking in the sun. You don't leave any of it in the sun. It's always in the shade. Now, a lot of people ask, like, do you need to keep it in air conditioning? Can you leave it in your garage? Yeah, you can leave it in your garage over the wintertime. It can get cold, it can get hot. It's okay to do that. You wanna be aware of something like mice, crickets, bugs, rats. All of those things can get into a glider. They can eat at the glider and eat holes in the wing. So you want to be aware of stuff like that, but gliders really don't like to be in the sun. I'm very particular on this. This is the longest a glider's ever sat just unwrapped up in the sun. I'll always tuck it in the shade, like over there. I highly encourage you're hyper aware of your glider sitting in the sun. Now, the third thing I want to talk about in today's video is how you use the glider and set the glider down. There are 2 things that are very damaging on a glider when you're kiting the glider and actually using the glider. Number 1 is you slam it onto the leading edge. This right here is the leading edge, the side with the cells, the side with the openings. You do not want to be slamming a glider into the ground on this right here. All of a sudden you send this shockwave of airflow throughout the entire wing, and it just jolts all of the internal stitching, fabric, and everything else involved in it. That is just really harsh on a glider. So you really want to be aware of how you set the wing down. You want to not flip the wing upside down. You want to try and set that wing down on the trailing edge as soft as possible. If you are landing it on the leading edge, you want to try and hit as much brake as possible while it's coming down to slow that impact down as much as possible. The big one that a lot of people do is never drag the glider, especially if the glider is upside down. This is common for newer pilots. The glider flips, they just start walking backwards trying to get the glider to get some air to flip it. You never ever want to drag the glider, especially on that leading edge. Like we talked about when it comes to wrapping up the glider, it's even more so a big deal when you're out there kiting the glider. You're dragging it, you're filling it with stuff, you're wearing out that fabric, you're just stressing that beautiful fabric across the ground, and it's just not good for it. So if your glider flips upside down, you try to be as gentle as possible to reflip it before inflating. You never just run backwards dragging it. If you can't seem to get the glider to inflate, walk over to it, open it up more, do something else other than just running and dragging that fabric across the ground. Now, these gliders are designed to last somewhere around 150 to 300 hours. You'll notice that's a pretty broad range because it's totally dependent on how you take care of this wing. You could be really nice to it, you could be gentle to it, you could be wrapping wrapping it up on a piece of fabric like I am here, never dragging it, only flying it, not kiting it, never leaving it in the sun. And you could get the 300-hour lifespan or even more out of a glider like this. Or you could be really abusive to it. Leave it in the sun for an hour after you're done flying, wrap it up on hard dirt every single time, and kite the glider, slamming it into the leading edge and dragging it. The difference is up to you. The lifespan is up to you. If you take good care of this glider, it will take good care of you. Now, with all of that being said, my name is Trevor Steele. I hope you learned something from this video. We're trying to give some educational ground school tips to you so that you could be a better pilot, whether you're getting into the sport or already into the sport. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Are you interested in learning how to fly a paramotor? Learn more about our 10-day beginner training program where we take you from A to Z in the smoothest, safest, and most efficient way possible. This training program has been handcrafted with over a decade of teaching experience. We train around 100 students every single year. Included in the training program, we provide all of the equipment for you to learn on. This means you do not have to worry about buying or bringing anything to the class to learn with. We've currently got 2 training classes coming up with 1 spot available in each class. We have a January and a March down at the Salton Sea, as well as our April and May training classes scheduled for Salt Lake City, Utah. If you're interested in more information, visit backcountryppg.com.